What's up, guys? It's Jeremy Jeffers with the Courtside Culture, and welcome back to episode 2. I want to thank you guys for tuning in to episode 1. We got a special guest in the building right here, a guy who's really special to me. So, this guy is a legend in Wilson, North Carolina. He's coached 27 seasons, racking up over 677 wins with 5 state championships. But the real impact goes beyond the game, from shaping players, building culture, and creating a legacy that lasts. Please welcome Coach Rob Salter. What's up, Coach?
Man? Appreciate you having me.
Yes, sir. How are you today?
I'm doing great.
All right, we'll dive right into it, man. So, what inspired you to become a coach, and who were some of your mentors or role models that helped shape your coaching style?
You know, just growing up, I just fell in love with basketball. You know, I fell in love, and I just knew, even like as a freshman in high school, I wanted to coach.
Right.
I was realistic about my ability.
Right.
You know, I knew I was a solid player, but I knew I wasn't making the NBA or anything.
Right.
But I wanted it to be a big part of my life, and my dad was huge on that. My dad was helped coach me growing up. But when I first got into coaching, I made some great connections, and Freddie Johnson from Greensboro Day was a mentor. Glenn Taylor was a mentor for a 20-year-old guy coming into. Dave Carrier. They really have impacted me, and they all have had programs that I was, in awe of at the time.
Right.
And I wanted to try to build a program, and they to this day we're still tight. So yeah, they were big in what I was trying to do.
And you started coaching at age?
Well, varsity I started coaching at age 20.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
That's
I kind of was
crazy.
thrown into it, but the coach.
Even though you knew you wanted to coach, was it a tough decision for you to that's very young. Like, you haven't even figured out your life, or just finished college and trying to figure things out. So talk about that decision from going from 20 years old.
Well, Robert Stokely, who was the athletic director at Greenfield, and my brother-in-law played baseball together.
Okay.
Those you don't know, my dad was a public school principal for 31 years, so I always just envisioned I'm gonna graduate, go teach,
Okay.
be in public school, coach.
Right.
But the coach before me last second took another job, and they kind of took a chance on a 20-year-old kid.
Right.
And my senior year in college, I was actually coaching varsity, and they took it. When I took it, did I think I'd be at Greenfield?
Right.
27 years? No.
Yeah.
But I tell people all the time, Greenfield helped raise me.
Right.
And they allowed me to build a program.
Right.
And so, it's a special place, and I bleed green.
Right.
But it's been a fun ride.
What do you remember most about coaching me
Jeremy.
in high school?
Jeremy was, the first thing I remember was when you came over, and I was like, this kid's really talented. You know what I mean? And you were complete too. I mean, you could shoot it. You were so athletic.
Yeah. Y'all heard that. All my young ones, y'all heard that out of his mouth. I was athletic. I can't jump no more, but I used to be able to.
He could do it all. But you didn't know how good you were.
Yeah.
And it took time for you to believe and figure out. And I think you got the confidence in yourself and the way we played. Your junior year was really good, but your senior year too you were phenomenal. You were one of the best players in the state.
Looking back now, what advice would you give me as a high school player?
That's a great question. I hope the advice. You just gotta love it. And what you did. Don't take. I always tell guys, basketball will be over before you know it.
Right.
When you think about it, basketball is your life, and that's one thing I praise you, Jeremy. You got such a vision after basketball. You know, there's a lot of kids I've coached that I don't worry about when basketball's over, and you were one of them because you were a great student. You had a vision. You were a great basketball player. But I would always say that enjoy every second of it because you never know when it's going to end.
So you've coached over 60 players that have played at the next level.
Yeah.
What does that mean to you?
Well, it's great. You know, I mean, I wanted to build that culture. You know, it means that basketball is an avenue for a lot of people to get their education, and that's what it's about to me.
Right.
To get them out of maybe where they're from, to get them out of Wilson, to see the world, you know, to experience things, to open up so many doors for them in the future when basketball's over with.
Right.
Obviously, when I first got to Greenfield, where we were as a program,
Right.
I never envisioned us having that, but we turned it into a program where I think the culture speaks for itself. I mean, you know this. That's the one thing I'm most proud of is, you know, I still talk to mostly all my players. You know what I mean? And
it's definitely a family feel. Yeah.
Yeah.
When the guys come back and play pickup, it just feels very, very natural.
And the pride y'all have of when you played for Greenfield is something that just fills my heart up. I mean, it does, because you guys loved it. You loved your teammates. You loved playing for it. And so, yeah, I mean, it's 60 players. You know, we've had them all up and down, but it's a great feat. You know,
it's an amazing accomplishment.
And but the good thing is it's allowed them to experience the world.
Right.
And look what you've done. You know, look what basketball's taking you. I mean, and, you know, sometimes the academics are always important, but basketball gets people to certain places where sometimes academics isn't it for some people.
Right.
Now, you got to have it to get that, but basketball has given a lot of my former players something they probably didn't ever could imagine 100%. When they were in the sixth grade.
And for me personally, I feel Greenfield really helped me as a whole. So I know some players that come over there, they kind of get in this like, I'm here for this, you know what I mean? Obviously the academics is a big part of Greenfield, but I don't think some of the players embody the culture of what Greenfield is.
Right.
And I feel like the ones that really do, you know, they see a different side of life because you're around a different caliber of people, a different caliber of students, people that are really pushing you, making you go on college visits. And, you know, life is about networking.
Absolutely.
So,
I've always said it's not what you know, it's who you know.
100%. I mean, in anything in life. And I think Greenfield, the network of Greenfield beyond basketball is what has really helped me in my career.
Well, that's awesome. I mean, because Greenfield's, you know, for the most part, the teachers, the administration, you know, has bought in and will do anything they can, you know, it is a wonderful academic place, but you hear the word family, and it's that too, you know, I mean, and so it's great that you bought into the whole thing. I mean, and that's the key. Greenfield's not for everybody, you know, I mean, it's not. I tell people that sometimes when kids visit. Right. But if you come in eyes wide open, willing to listen and learn, it could impact you.
Yeah,
it really can.
100%. 100%. All right. So I asked your former player Brian this question last episode. So I got to ask you, since you are a coach, what is your most unforgettable game you've ever coached and why?
Unforgettable game. Wow, there's so many.
It's a lot of basketball.
It's a lot of basketball. I mean, but there's the first state championship we won.
Okay.
We finished. Greenfield wasn't Greenfield then.
Right.
You know, we played Word of God, who was top 20 in the country, and we finished the season undefeated. That was special. I mean, that game you guys talked about versus Wall senior night, to lose in overtime.
Yeah.
You know, it was just I remember telling y'all, I said that is a high level of basketball game at the time, and probably still is, that I've ever seen in high school. I mean, it was crazy. It was just big time play.
Yeah, we joke about that all the time. Me, Darian, and Jerry, and Coby, all of us, and we was like, Salt would always tell us, "Send John Wall right, send him right," and he would just make the quickest crossover going left. Like, coach, there's nothing we can do about it at this point.
And I completely understood that. But I remember one play. We played him perfect right from our bench, and John had 4 fouls, and Jarrett took a charge.
Yeah.
And the referee called a block.
Yeah.
And I looked at him, I said, "You didn't have enough balls to foul him out on his senior night."
No, he didn't.
And he looked at me, he says, "You're right." I said, "I can remember that." You're right. But, I mean, that game, I mean, so many state championship memories. You know, Coby breaking the record at the Wall was special. I mean, that whole environment was unbelievable.
Yeah, it was.
I mean, unfortunately, there's a couple of situations we didn't win, but just fantastic games. But but there's so many. And I tell you one that nobody thinks about that I always tell specials when I shout out to Coach Aaron Farrells. His junior year we played at Barton.
Okay.
Versus Community Christian when they had Jimmy Graham.
Jimmy Graham was a monster.
And they didn't have a gym, so I got Barton to let us play there. And when I tell you that place was sold out, phenomenal environment, and we made a great comeback to win. That was a fun environment too. So I mean, there's been so many.
That's pretty cool. That's a lot of basketball.
Man, it is. It's hard to narrow it down.
All right, so now you got to narrow it down now with these questions coming up. So, your top 5 Greenfield teams that you've ever coached. You got to give me 5.
I love when all of us get together and I hear y'all argue about whose team's the best, because I just sit back and listen, because obviously they all are special.
Right.
You know, talent-wise, a couple of those teams didn't win a state championship. You know what I mean?
Right.
Your team starting 5 is probably the most talented starting 5 I've ever had. I mean, you think all 5 of you went Division 1 or Division 2.
Right.
Just, our problem with that team, we just didn't have a great, bench. And
right.
That team was really good. The year we lost to Dennis Smith and them, kind of, when I had Logan.
That was Logan's team?
That team was maybe up and down because of depth, too.
Right.
That team was really good.
That's 2.
Our state championship with, you talk about just talent. Because if you go in the best teams, that's another.
Teams. I would say teams, not talent.
Yeah, the first state championship team. If you saw that team and you looked at it, you're like, man, that team can't play.
Right.
But defensively, they were a machine. I mean, they were an absolute machine. They took more charges than anybody team I've ever coached. But the last state championship team we had I've had 5 college basketball players on that team.
With Trey,
Creighton Lebo, Ja Bailey, Bryson, Colin, Jordan. I mean, you go down, that was Jakari, was really, he was an all-state player. That was a really good team. And then the one we won with Mike Flowers, Donovan Jones, Aaron Suggs, Travis Johnson, and Chris Tripp and those guys. Yeah. That was we beat a really good statesman team.
Right.
That team was really good. So, but there's been something we haven't won. It makes me sick to my stomach. Another one we didn't win. We were the best team all year. Tree, Sam Hughes, Jordan Sharp, Robbie Stokely, TJ, Jamie Johnson.
Right.
That one hurt because we were the best team that year.
Right.
And we just picked a bad day to play. I mean, there's so many good ones, man.
I know, man. I still get upset walking in the gym. If I ever go in Greenfield, there's these state championships. It's was it 5? It's 5 pictures on the wall. And it makes me so upset. I'm happy for the guys that are up there, but it does make me upset. And I feel like our era was just tough. You're talking, our state championship was against, United Faith with Ian Miller, played at Florida State, a phenomenal player. And then you had, it was 6'7", 7 foot. I don't know, man. It was you had to make every shot at our state championship to win.
That 1A group with them, Trinity Christian.
Yeah. Word of
God was unbelievable.
Even Wayne Country Day was really competitive. Was good.
And then in the association we played against Ryan Kelly, and all those guys. The Plumleys.
Yeah.
Who y'all played against? That whole era of private school at the time was. Yeah. There was a bunch of pros.
Yeah.
In that
era.
A bunch of pros.
For sure. All right, so your top 10 most talented players that you ever coached at Greenfield. I gave you 10. I was going to do 5, but I said, it's a lot of players. So let's do 10.
This is the order. I'm not putting it in order.
No order.
Coby White.
Okay.
Brian Richardson.
Okay.
Elijah McCadden.
Okay.
Jeremy Jeffers.
Okay.
Kobe Edwards.
Okay.
Logan McLean.
Okay.
6'9", could do it all.
Yeah.
He was really good.
6.
Most talented players. I'm trying to think. I know I'm gonna miss somebody, and they're gonna get mad at me.
You got Tree, Ja Bailey.
Yeah, Tree.
Sam.
Tree. I was gonna put Tree. Went and played Wake Forest.
Okay.
Tree, Sam. Sam had as good a senior year, but Ant. I can't forget Ant.
Yeah,
Ant
definitely Ant. That's 9.
And then that 10th was Ja. I mean, Ja was a 6'6", 6'7" wing.
Yeah.
Really good. You know, he went to Richmond. You know, Mike Flowers was really good. I mean, that's hard to do, man. That's hard. Like we always, like when we all get together, you know, y'all always say, let's do it by position.
Yeah.
And it's hard.
Yeah, it's tough.
It's hard to do that. I mean,
that's tough.
I mean,
that's a solid 10 though.
Oh yeah, that's a
solid
really
10.
good. That team beats a lot of people. Most teams anywhere, any place. I mean,
yeah, that's a solid 10. That's a solid 10.
But you know, then there's kids that like, I was thinking that you just know that you win with, like,
right,
just the dogs of the team. You know,
the B-Max,
the Cahills, the Jared Hittens, the Creighton Lebos,
right.
You know, the guys that you just the dogs that you just, you know, you got to have them. They're really good players. I mean, they're college players, but they're just, and that's, you know, that's the beauty of making up the team. Of, you know, people accepting their roles, which sometimes people don't want to do that these days.
Yeah, 100%.
You know, but you win. It's, I mean, I could talk about. I could do this all day. Talk about my.
We got another 10. We could do top 20 and keep rolling. The first player that you named, obviously, is special. His jersey's up here. Special to me. Special to you. You've had a chance to coach. You know, Coby White, who played at Carolina for a year and then went on to get drafted 7th by the Chicago Bulls, and is doing really well. What was it like coaching him during the early years? And walk us through draft night and how that played out for you emotionally, seeing one of your players reach that level.
Well, people, I say this all the time about Coby. I mean, one, the type of person he is. That's why, I mean, he's just the total package, his wonderful family.
Right.
That's why I'm his biggest fan now. I mean, you know, he's just everything you look for into if you want to say a pro, a good, you know, he's got it. But when he was younger, so people don't know the story with Coby. His brother, Will, and Darren Cahill were best friends.
Right.
Will thought about coming to Greenfield, but Will also played football.
Right.
So anyway, I remember when Coby as an 8th grader contacted the school. I didn't know who Coby was then.
Right.
Obviously as an 8th grader, Coby wasn't Coby at the time, you know what I mean? But I went and watched him play, and I'm like, this kid could be pretty good, you know.
Right.
Well, his freshman year, I think he didn't start the very first game of the year. I think I always joke with Isaiah White was probably the last person, you know, to start over Coby, you know, until NBA. But then Coby just was the hardest, and you can attest to this because you trained him. He was the hardest working kid I've ever seen.
For sure.
It's like we've had hard workers. I mean, there's hard workers, but then there's another level, and he is next level. I mean, he was unbelievable, and he brought. I mean, I personally think he's one of the best players to ever play in the state of North Carolina. I mean, you know, he broke the scoring record, but that's not the legacy he left. As I tell everybody, the legacy he left is how hard he worked and how every day. I mean, that's a pro work ethic from day one. But his freshman year when we played Harry Giles at Wesleyan. He had like 25 and 11 that game as a freshman against the number 1 player in the country.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And I knew he had a chance to be good. And, you know, Coby's heard me tell the story, and he remembers. I remember we were at the end of the gym. And like I said, Coby worked hard, but I said, Coby, you could be one of the best things that come out of this air in a long time, but you got to work harder.
Right.
And this was like the fall of his freshman year.
Right.
And then he went to another level.
Yeah.
And he never had a bad practice or effort.
Yeah.
He never was lazy.
Right.
I mean, there was times I had to go in practice just to say, I'm going to get on him. Just to keep the team know I'll get on Coby, but it wasn't he did anything wrong.
Right.
You know what I mean? And he never got mad. He took it in. But the stuff he did in high school, man.
It was crazy.
It was unbelievable, the stuff he did.
Yeah,
Like, you would think Coby had an okay game, you know? And you look, he'd have like 38 and 9, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, just.
And it was, you know, and I was on that staff with you at that time. And it was just amazing to watch. And like some games, you know, I felt like when I was working with him, I was trying to, like, he's very talented. So like when you're training talented and working with talented players like that, you don't really have to, like, you're just giving him nuances of the game, you know what I mean? And sharpening stuff because he gets it and it comes natural. You know, so, you know, small things that we were trying to work on during the game, and it'll be like, you know, okay, you know, you saw that guy in the corner, you know, but he wouldn't pass it because he can make the shot over two people. And it's just like, you know, sometimes, and then like at the end of the game, I remember us looking at each other like, all right, just go. And that dude would go and score like 15 straight with nothing.
I mean, and the thing about Coby is he hated to lose, so he had to do that for us to have a chance.
100%.
Like, we had a talent. That team of his is one of the most talented. I mean, you had him and Elijah.
Yeah.
But the other three were freshmen.
Yeah, they were young then.
They were talented freshmen.
They weren't developed.
But they were still freshmen.
Yeah, Jai, Trey, they were.
Bryson, Jakari, but they were still young.
Right.
So Coby had to score like that.
Right.
With the schedule we were playing for us to have a chance.
Yeah.
And but he always, I mean, just he was so far ahead with his mid range.
Right.
He was so strong. His ability just to make crazy shots at the rim. I mean, there's sometimes I look at you during the game. I was like, did you just see that?
Yeah, like, it was crazy. But I mean, but again, it was a test to his work. Like, it will be times, and I tell this story all the time to my guys who think that they work hard, but they don't.
Yeah.
I mean, the kid. I mean, off season, during the season, if he didn't shoot it well, you know, or if he shot it well on Sunday, everybody's resting. Hey, 500 shots, and I'm like, we had to tell him like, hey,
take a day off.
Like, take a day off, ice, recover. Nah, he had his mindset on what he wanted to do,
and he did. He had a goal, and I mean, his 500 shots is not like, hey, I'm just going to
100%.
Coach, I want to shoot. I was like, you sure? So we get it's game shots.
Shots.
It's a different level. I mean, he's not taking 500 shots. He's making 500 shots. Right. I mean, and he loves the grind. Even now, like, he loves the off-season grind. And that's why you're seeing him improve so much.
100%.
But the motivation he had, and I think Coby, nobody knew who Coby was, right? You know, coming out of, sometimes you see some of these young talents, you know, that were good when they were freshmen.
Right.
One thing I love about Coby, he didn't care about any of that stuff.
No, he didn't.
He didn't care about the rankings. He didn't care about, you know, and he just wanted to get better.
Just wanted to get better.
And that's why, you know, I'm his biggest fan now to watch him, and he's still, it's still to grow. He's going to be an all-star. So
talk about the draft night experience. With you sitting down there on the table, man. That
was something.
That's got to be a surreal experience.
It was. You know, I mean, as a basketball fanatic, I don't think I've missed a draft since I was like on TV. You know, since I was like 5. You know, I mean, but to have a chance to go, and I'm so thankful that they allowed me to go. You know, I mean, it was phenomenal. I mean, it was just the environment. The you know, you see the green room, you see it on the floor, but all the stuff that went in there, I was kind of like eyes wide open. You know? I mean, it brought a lot of.
Because it's not an opportunity that, I mean,
no.
You may not never see that opportunity again.
I mean, be honest with you. I mean, it's hard, and it was crazy, man. But it was a lot of fun, and it was great to be able to enjoy that moment with his family. It was.
So, what do you think about the current state of high school basketball? Is it better or worse than when we played?
You know, I think social media is a good thing, but I think it's a bad thing too.
Right.
You know? Obviously, social media takes basketball to different places.
Right.
But I think sometimes the kids are worried about that highlight. You know,
they know where their camera's at.
Oh, of course, all the time.
Every time.
I mean, you know, for the first 15 years of me coaching, we never had social. You know, people in the gym. Now every home game we got 10, 12 people with a video in there. You know, I mean, like for now, us with Coby, you know, Coby Edwards now. I mean, he does some unbelievable plays, and but I don't know if the kids enjoy the grind as much. There's not many kids that enjoy getting in the power plays with nobody in here, working with their, you know, with you or on their own as they used to, you know.
Right.
So is basketball a better place? the talent's still amazing. You know,
I think they're more like
athletic.
I do think they're more athletic.
Yeah,
I do
but the
think they're more. I don't think they're better basketball players because they don't like. I mean, if it wasn't going to Greenfield and playing, like we used to crack the door open at Greenfield.
Yeah.
Don't kill us, administration over there. We don't do it anymore. But we used to crack the door open and just to go play pickup. Yeah. Like it was, we had to do it before we did anything. And I don't feel like now, if you're not organizing it, there is no team pickup or, you know, not just Greenfield, just all the kids in general. You know, and they always say there's excuses about, you know, there's nowhere to play. There is.
Well, Greenfield gym's open all the time.
It's always open.
But my thing, too, is we used to get better by playing pickup.
Right.
You know? So the stuff you worked on, you could work on it as you were playing. Now I think a lot of kids train, which is great.
Right.
We didn't have trainers growing up. But one thing I love is you got to be able to take
the training and
put
implement
it into the game
and play.
And
I feel like now, I feel like these kids, they shy away from, social media has made some of the kids magnified on a certain level. So it's almost like when I see him or play against him, I'm nervous.
Yeah.
I don't want to be the crossover.
Right.
I don't want to get dunked on. I don't want to get embarrassed on camera. Instead of who him? He's that. I'm going to show you.
Absolutely.
And I'm going to show you why I should. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's not that mentality for these kids anymore.
That's right. It's not. And but I also think there's a lot of people involved in basketball that.
That's a good point.
The circle is not, for some of these kids, are not who should be in the circle.
I agree.
I think there's a lot of individual, selfish plans for people that, you know. And my advice to these young kids is, going back to Coby White, his circle hasn't changed much, you know. I mean,
at all.
And you know who you can trust. You need to lean on them at all times because there's going to be hard times. But I think people circle are way too big of people that don't have your right intentions, you know.
Right.
But not saying there's also some great people out there too, but it's just different. It's a completely different game now.
Right.
I mean, it really is. It's a completely different game.
How does that adjustment for you as a coach?
Well, I love it because I like adapting. I mean, a high school coach has to adapt to their talent. You know, I mean, back in the day before all the transfer portal, college coaches recruited to the style they wanted to play.
Right.
So I'm gonna fit you into how I play.
Right.
Well, in high school, you kind of. So if you look at how my team plays now, we didn't play that way 20 years ago.
Right.
You know, are we more talented? You know, more athletic now? Yeah, but you know, it's just there's not much of a post game anymore. Everybody wants to shoot threes.
Right.
I think that's one thing. I think great shooting is a lost art right now.
100%.
Because everybody wants to show the flash.
Right.
And that's why still, we just had a live period of, 200 coaches last week, and they're still talking about we're looking for great shooters. I mean, so.
Where do you think that stems from? I mean, obviously it's the social media shooting, social media aspect, which has, magnified the highlight. So you think kids are fishing for that more? And when they're training, I see a lot of these trainers, they don't work on simple stuff. And I saw Gilbert Arenas say this, and it was a kid will train and you ask him to do 10 one dribble pull-ups going left, and then by the third, fourth one, it's dribble sidestep. And it's just keep it simple and master the fundamentals before you start adding that, and make that shot in a game before you trying to start doing the hero play for the camera.
And I think that's a lost art. I mean, if you're simple, you're going to be really good. I mean, everybody talks like Kyrie. And, But, I mean, it's a game of reaction, and the flashy plays will be there, but you don't have to do it every single time.
Yeah.
And that's the one thing I say about you as a trainer. You work on in-game stuff.
Right.
You're going to work on the step backs and stuff like that, but the pros don't make that more than they miss it. You know? So that's a heat.
But they're also
that's a heat check play.
But they've also mastered it, Coach.
Yes.
And that's my problem is you think you have that in your bag, but Kevin Durant and Kyrie and Steph Curry really work on behind the back side steps and make 100 of them. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So it's just they put that work in to take that shot, but you guys haven't. You know what I mean? So,
and they don't put and you talk about it, they see those plays, so they'll work on it in their individuals, where they're working on those plays where they should be working on catching and shooting,
100%,
or a windable pull-up,
right,
or or whatever. You will get those shots more than you are a
100%.
slide step,
100%.
step back three. I mean,
100%. And you better make it or you're coming out.
That's right. That's right.
All right. So, why haven't you pursued coaching at the college level? And what's the biggest lesson you learned from any of your athletes?
I've had opportunities to explore that. I just felt like it wasn't the right one.
Right.
I'm not ever saying that door's shut, but I do love working with high school kids. I love trying to mold them, to head them in the right direction.
Right.
Hoping when they leave Greenfield, I always tell our kids, I told you this, I'm not satisfied just helping you get a college scholarship.
Right.
I want you to be ready to play when you get there.
Right.
I want you to know how to play the game so you're above that other freshman when you get there to play.
Right.
So, I do love that part of it. I love the part of it, of helping these kids achieve their dreams.
Right.
Nothing makes me more proud to see the person you become or all these other guys where you come. That's what it's about to me. But, what I've learned the most is you got to adapt, you really do. It's a different world of basketball dealing with parents, dealing with, all types of stuff now.
So have parents always notoriously been bad, or is it worse now because of everything else?
Well,
with NIL, and now these kids are getting, agents in college and earlier.
It's funny you said about NIL because I'm still learning about NIL.
Right.
It's a different world.
Right.
You're used to just wanting to get that college scholarship for that kid, a free education,
right,
which is still the most important thing. But now college are throwing a lot of money at them.
Right.
And, and I'm learning that too, dealing with some of the players.
Do you feel like it's hurting or helping the game? The NIL specifically?
The way it is right now, I think it's hurting. But I'm also going to tell them,
right,
you go get your money. I'm not sitting there telling you, but I think kids are not focused on their goal of, hey, I want to be in the NBA
100%.
or I want to be the best basketball player I can be.
And that's so key, Coach, that you said that. I don't think that they focus on the development of them being a better player.
They're focused
so it's like, if you want this, right? You want the millions of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars, like, put the work in
correct,
to show when the time comes and the coaches are sitting on the sideline. You know what I mean? I feel like it's like some gets so focused on that camera that it just takes away from.
Well, all that stuff will come if you work on your craft
100%.
and do what you're supposed to. You can't skip steps. If you skip steps, somebody's gonna pass you, and everybody's road is different. But hey, in these worlds, some kids are getting paid out of high school.
Right.
Some kids go to college, have a great year, then they get paid. And do I think the kids should get paid? Absolutely. They bring a lot of money too. But the way the NIL started, it was a wild, wild west. It went crazy, which I think they're trying to tone it back in.
Yeah.
So it's a different world. As a coach that's been coaching for over 25 years, I'm learning how to deal with NIL too with some of my players now.
My parents always told me, said, what is it? I guess they watch the news and see stuff about NIL. My dad said, we'd be rich if we had NIL in 09.
Well, and it's funny. You talk about social media, NIL, back when y'all played,
Right.
I joke, Anthony Axon.
Oh, yeah,
if he had social media highlight reels when he played, that dude was unbelievable. You know what I mean? And all the way down. But I think the NIL, now I think some families, not all families, if you lose sight of getting better as a player, I think some of these families are just looking to maybe more focus on NIL instead of getting better.
Right.
Because
you still got to.
Most times it's not the kid. The kid. Well, sometimes it's not the kid. The kid, is focused on getting better. But now,
it's like you say, it comes back to that circle.
Yep.
And then, I mean, like you said, you got to perform when you get to that next level, regardless.
And I'm lucky. I've had a chance to obviously coach a lot of kids, and I really, focused on emphasizing to the parents how important that circle is.
Right.
And Coby Edwards is going through that right now. You
right.
know what I mean? And he's got a great circle that's asking questions and but I learned as a coach, I learned through him because he's a top 100 player and there's things I've seen that I haven't seen before. You know? I mean, so it's great to be able to bounce that off his family too.
Right.
So we're all on the same page of what's going on.
Cool deal. So tapping into a more personal level, how hard is it to balance family, coach a team with the pressure of like the time and practices of games? You have a wife and two boys, Nash and Hamp. So how does managing that family time, is it super tough? I know it's harder on the college level, but how is it out? Because you play a lot of games personally more than a public school. So how do you manage that?
Yeah, it's I was single for so long. I mean, that when you came through.
Yeah.
I was single, so I lived in the gym. That's what that was. But the good Lord brought Aaron in my life, and we got two beautiful boys, and basketball is still a priority, but it also opens your eyes up to, I always say this: the title of a dad is the most important title you can have.
Right.
The title of a mom is the most. But the good thing about my two boys, and y'all know it, they're with me wherever I go.
Yeah, they love it.
They're around it. It's tough during basketball season because we play almost every weekend. I joke with people that my wife threatens to divorce me, during basketball season when she doesn't. But it's hard on her.
Yeah.
And she's so phenomenal and fantastic. And I apologize to her before the season starts. And I do try to make it up afterwards, I mean. But
shout out to Erin.
Yes,
big shout out to Erin.
She's the best, and I always say this too. I mean, I think that's why, and us coaches know that you got to have a special woman to be a coach's wife
because they know what they're getting into.
And it's just like I want to have an elite program too. It's not like I'm just coaching November through March.
Right.
It's year round for us. She knew that, and she's been phenomenal from one. But it's hard. But it's also awesome because my team loves my boys. Like Nash went with us this weekend to team camp. What I mean? My boys think Coby Edwards is the NBA star. What I mean? Because that's what they're around right now. That boys love everybody on my team.
Right.
But it's also important that I tell my team, all right, you got my boys around you. We'll go out like we got some sense. We're not going. But it is harder. But it's a different challenge and it's fun because now, I mean, Nash loves it. Nash loves basketball. Nash is gonna, he sees how these guys are working and I think Nash has a chance to be pretty good one day, if he keeps working. But I want him to see the people that's older him as a blueprint of how to work if that's what he wants to do.
Right.
Same thing with Hampton. Hampton's 5, and. Jeremy made him a YouTube star the other day. So.
That video, people were loving it. I got so many texts about that.
But no, it's great. It is great. But there's some challenges. There really are. It's great.
How do you feel about, I know your sons are around it, but like, do you feel like there's a pressure behind them playing basketball because their dad is a basketball coach? Because we see that a lot with celebrities or NBA players, that are coaches' sons. And like, how do you manage that if they wanted to? I know Nash plays baseball, but like, how do you feel? I know you want them to play basketball, but like, how do you manage that as a father?
Well, Nash loves basketball. That's his favorite. And I just always said, though, because of that, I've never forced it out on them. I mean, him and Hampton both, but they love it. I mean, and they really can't help it because they're around it all the time. I mean, Nash had a ball between his legs when he was 1, what I mean? But I remember the first time he told me when he was about 5, he's like, Dad, I want to work out. I was like, let's go. But I don't force on him now because he's 9, I mean? Now, I told him if he still loves it when he's 10 or 11, I mean, hey, you work him out, But I'm not making him get in the gym right now because you don't want to burn the. Now he's in the gym 4 or 5 days a week on his own.
Yeah.
Anyway, but it's not to the point of we're not going to make him do it right now.
Do you think a lot of parents are doing that too much?
Probably,
burning the kids out. I mean, there are some kids in 3rd, 4th grade. Don't get me wrong, but it's just like your time gap between like middle school and high school to grow. Like a lot of things have to go right, and like you putting so much emphasis on.
Well, people ask me all the time about Nash. Like Nash is pretty advanced for his age right now.
Right.
He's going to understand the game. You know, he's going to have skill, but it's going to be what God plans. I mean, is he going to have the height? Is he going to have the athleticism? Is he going? There's a lot of things that we can't control if he's going to be a player or not. If he decides he wants to be, you know what I mean? He might decide, and that's okay too. But yes, I think there's a lot of pressure at a young age. I'm like, kids are going to 7 different trainers, and kids need to be kids, man.
Right.
I mean, because when they get 14 and they don't, and you
pan
out, and you don't want that to hurt your relationship with your parents, you know what I mean, with your child, yeah. So, I mean,
100%, I agree. Have you ever had a moment where you thought about walking away from coaching?
Never. I love it too much. I love it.
That was a rhetorical question. We'll just get skipped past that.
I know. Now, there's some tough times. There's some tough times. I mean, you got to have hard conversations.
Right.
But basketball is amazing.
What do you feel like has been the hardest conversation you had to have, either with a parent or a player?
Sometimes having a conversation with a parent to let them know that their kid's not the level that they think they are. That's always hard.
It's a very delusional world.
It is. But I always tell our families that I'm going to be honest with you. You know, I'm going to be honest, and sometimes people are okay with that, sometimes they're not. But that's the tough part, you know, because I mean, they're part of my family too, you know. I mean, that doesn't mean their kid's not a good basketball player.
Right.
That doesn't mean their road's going to be different, you know, when they get to college, wherever they go. But at the time, sometimes you got to have that, you know, everybody sees Coby White come through Greenfield, and the next person's the next Coby White. I'm like, I had a guy stop me, he's like, I want my son, I saw what you did with Coby White. I want my son to go there. I said, well, first of all, I just had a part of Coby White. I said, there's a lot of, I said, but if I had that blueprint of everybody I coached to become Coby White, I wouldn't be here right now. Just let you know that. But that's kind of the, you know, you gotta just, and the advice I tell my parents, just enjoy it.
Right.
Because it's going to be over with soon.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's like now Nash is 9 already, 4th grade, you know what I mean? I'm like, I remember when he was 4.
Right.
You know what I mean? It just happened so fast.
Yeah.
Hampton's about to, you know, Hampton's getting in the middle of it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's going to be over before you know it, so enjoy every second of it.
Yeah, sure. All right, we're going to have a little fun with these last couple questions. All right, give me your top 5 NBA starting lineup all time. It doesn't have to be current, and it doesn't have to be by position. This is just who you favor.
MJ. Coby.
Okay.
LeBron. You can put any of them at the point. It doesn't really matter. Shaq.
Okay.
And then, but see, I say Shaq, and I agree with that, but Olajuwon was a freaking monster too.
He was.
I had to fight hard on that, but Shaq was just another monster.
He was
Olajuwon going
up
was unbelievable. And probably at the 4 as far as, you know, I mean, now you got to put probably a KD in there at the 4 now as far as
KD? Wow. I mean, it's not like far-fetched, but I felt like you were going to go Tim Duncan.
Well, if you're going traditional, but like my question to you is KD a 4? No. Is he a 3? If he's not, then then I'm going to go Timmy D at the 4. I mean, but that's kind of old school. Yeah. But that's basketball now. There's no traditional power forward anymore.
It's not.
So now, I mean, it is. I get this argument with our boy KO all the time. You know, your positionless basketball now.
Yeah,
that's the big thing that's changed. So you really can't compare eras
right
anymore because LeBron can play all 5 positions.
Right.
You know, I mean,
So you got Bron, MJ, Coby, Shaq.
I'm going to have to go Tim and
And Tim Duncan.
Yeah.
Cool deal.
And we're beating most of everybody on that, bro.
Yeah, 100%. All right, we're going start, bench, cut. All right, we're going to go coach's edition, though.
Okay.
All right, so we're going to switch it up a little bit. All right, so we're going to start with the college coaches. You got to start, bench, and cut one. John Wooden, Coach K, Roy Williams.
Oh, my God, bro. You are trying to get me in trouble. Start.
These are your friends, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you know what? I'm gonna probably they're gonna probably get really heated about this. Wood was before my time, so I'll probably bench him. I mean, cut him.
Okay.
Cut him. And then Coach K and Roy are tit for tat. You know, I think they're two of the greatest. So I'll probably go. K or Roy, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Current NBA coaches. Mark, I don't know how to pronounce his last name. The guy from OKC that just won the championship. Joe Mazzulla or Ime Udoka.
See, I probably go bench Mark.
Okay.
No, excuse me, cut Mark.
Okay.
I'm a Duke fan. Have him start because he's doing it at both two different places.
Right.
And then my man just won the championship, so he's got to be on the team. So I'll probably bench him. But.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right. Now, all-time coaches. This one's tough.
See,
This is the last one. I got you. Phil Jackson, Greg Popovich, Pat Riley.
Phil Jackson. I'm going to go start Phil Jackson.
Yeah, I feel like you just got to start Phil.
Popovich on the bench. And I'm going to cut.
Riley? Riley got 5 rings.
Well, so does Popovich now, man. And he's done it in different eras, too.
Yeah.
He has. Yeah. Unfortunately, Riley also ran up against Jordan a couple of times, so he couldn't get. Now, he's a mastermind. But
all right, last question for you, Coach. What do you want players to remember about you 20 years from now?
Well, that's a great question. I just hope they know that, I love them and I want what's best for them. But basketball is, I use basketball about life too, I think all of them know, on senior nights, I always say to the seniors, anytime, any place, call me. And I think they know that, and I hope I've taught them the game, but also I hope I taught them hopefully how to be a better person, better man, and give them the tools to be successful. Because it's not just me, it's a group effort to mold these kids into men now, and it gets tougher and tougher these days, but I hope my players know how much I care about them and how much their time, I cherish every second I have coaching them because I love it. I always tell kids that are at Greenfield and think about coming, there's not going to be a person that's going to care for you more than I am.
100%.
And I hope these guys know that.
Yeah, so. For sure. Well, that's a wrap for episode 2. Thank you, Coach, for coming down, man.
Oh, man,
appreciate it. Love you, man.
I love you.
Big part of my life. And thank you guys for tuning in. And make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel at Power TV. And stay tuned for the next episode of the Courtside Culture.